Alright folks, now is the time to create a Storybook component. So we won't really need to run the server like this. Instead we have to hit yarn Storybook. Okay, we have already done the setup in the previous videos. What this will do is it will fire up the Storybook server for us. And over here you can see that we have an example. Where is this example coming from? This example is coming from the initial setup. So if you head over to src and components, not over here. Okay, so this example is coming from over here, button stories, and I guess, yeah, this is our button example. We haven't created really much of a library, design library for the buttons. So we can actually discard this part and focus on the navigation this time. So what we have to do is we have this button, we have this nav. So in buttons you can see that the story is being picked from the file.stories.ts, and this is our stories file. Okay, so we'll take this as an inspiration. I'll close other components, and over here I'll create a file called as nav.stories.ts, and the way I created it, it will say no meta and CSF missing, because the file is literally empty and this Storybook is unable to figure out. That is why it crashed. So what we have to do is we just have to stop the server for now. Okay, just let us wait until we make the template ready. So if we consider what all things it has imported from Storybook, it has only imported meta and story object. So we'll import that, and it has imported the component. So we have to check if we are exporting the nav. So we have this navbar from /nav. So I'll just import my component, import navbar from dot, not from dot, it has to be /index. Okay, now if we check, it is being pointing to navbar. Now what it is doing, that it has created a meta. Okay, so I'll grab this meta and I'll try to modify this according to our needs. So what is the meta? The const meta is over here, and maybe they are exporting, yeah, they are default exporting the meta also. Let me grab this as well, and this should be fine. And what else they are complaining, that the file should have at least one story export. Yeah, we haven't exported a story. So first of all, I'll create a story type. So we are just trying to break down the file and see what errors happens once we start building the file, the Storybook file. So if I create one story and we say export const primary story, so I'll just grab this and paste. You can see that most of the errors are gone. So this is a primary story. So these are the props that it is expecting. So ideally we don't have any props, so it is empty. And the component is navbar, and the title is example /navbar, and it is layout created. We can ignore this. Tags are auto docs, arguments, and it satisfies the navbar type. The moment I save this and hit yarn Storybook, and it will again open the servers for us. But this time you would notice another component called as navbar, and what it is not able to import, module not found, error can't resolve @hooks use window dimensions. Okay, so we have to deal with absolute imports. So Storybook is unable to comprehend the absolute imports for Storybook. It doesn't know that our Next.js application is using this. Okay, so we have a way to fix it. But right now you can see that a doc is created and a primary storybook is created. Now what we have to do is we have to fix this absolute import so that the storybook is aware that the application which we are seeing is where it is exactly pointing. So let's go ahead and fix it. So to fix that error, you have to go to this particular folder .storybook, head over to the main.ts file, and you add this particular line after the docs object, which is a webpack final. So what we are saying is that we have a config alias. We have to alias this path with the .src directory, and you also need to import the path. Okay, this is a path package provided. So once you do this and you start with yarn storybook again, okay, it will start building, and this time there won't be any errors. Okay, you can see the button is loading. But if you head over to Navbar and go to primary, you are still not able to see the navigation bar, and even the storybook is not complaining about anything. So what is going wrong? So if you remember that our data is coming from the config API, okay, that is what we know. So if we head over to console, you can see that it is trying to make a API call. Okay, it is trying to make a API call on the localhost 6006 on which the storybook server is running, but our API is on localhost 3000. Okay, and thus it is really impossible over here. Not really impossible, there can be a way, but right now to drive things on the storybook we have to make a dummy component. Okay, because we can't really fetch from things from API every time, because the logic can be very confiscated. So to do that, what we have to do is we have to change something in the component. We can do something like if we go to nav, so where exactly are we fetching it? We are fetching it inside the navbar. Yeah, we are fetching it inside the navbar, and this is what I am using. So if we introduce a prop that says, okay, please do not fetch from the API, instead use this mock data that is being provided. This way I think we can deal with this thing. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new prop. Okay, and then later we can definitely add new interfaces and other stuff. That is a rookie part. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new prop over here, and I'll say props, and I can say use local data, but that would sound like a custom hook, and maybe we can use something like has data. Has data is looking like a boolean, but we just need to provide the data object. Okay, so where exactly can we get can I say something like external nav data? Will this work? Yeah, I think this should suffice the part. And over here in the fetch call, I can do something like this object, let's keep this as null if not passed. Okay, and I can say something like if, so if I say if not external data, please go ahead and fetch. Okay, else what you do, you obey my order and set navbar data as the data which I just provided. That's it. That's all it will take. Now if I save this, alright, it might complain about the missing dependencies. So let's add external data, and on the button stories, okay, on the stories we have this arch. So I'll pass my external data prop. Okay, and we are going to leverage the data. So where exactly was our mock data? I think we created in our data folder lib nav data, right? This is what I wanted. So we have to import nav data, So I'll do something like import nav data from lib/nav data, and I'll pass my nav data to this like this. Let's save and let's check over here, and it is saying that use session must be wrapped in a session provider. All right, so we have another thing which we have to deal with. So it is saying that this thing is unable to comprehend. Okay, so we no longer need nav data over here. All right, so it is obviously it would complain because it is using use session. Okay, where exactly are we using use session? I really don't see. Okay, we are using it in the avatar. Okay, so we are using in the avatar. Now I remember. Yeah, this is the place where we are using the use session. Okay, so based on the session data, it is checking that whether it has to render, whether it has to not render, and other stuffs. For it to work, for the use session to work, we have to wrap this in a provider that is currently missing. So what are the providers which we created? We can get those things if we go to app layout. Okay, this is the auth provider. So I'll just copy this auth provider over here in the stories. I'll just import. So to wrap the component with a provider, so if you check for context for mocking, go to storybook.js.org and head over to this part. So they are saying that you get a decorator where you can decorate your storybook component with providers. That is exactly what I want. So I'll copy this, okay, and come over here. So we are going to wrap this with the decorator. This is story. It's nice. We need a auth provider. Okay, and this pretty much looks good. And export default preview. So we can literally add anything, that is for sure. Okay, so let's save this and see if it is working for us. And it compiled with one error. And what was the error this time? Syntax error, unexpected token. Okay, then what exactly do you need? So we have a navbar, then we have children. That is all we wanted. Okay, maybe this decorator is not the right place, not at the right place. So this is your component, this is your decorator, this is the story, and here it is, export default meta. That is exactly what we are doing. So this is the title. Then we have component at the top. So let's move this at top. Then your component. Then decorators is array. We get a story. Then we return the story with auth provider. We can get rid of this comment over here. Okay, let's save this. And do we see an error? Yeah, so we are seeing that syntax error, unexpected token at line 13. We just refresh the app, the comment is no longer there. Let us try to rebuild and see. Okay, so let me get back on this error. All right, I fixed the error. The error was pretty silly, and it should have been caught earlier. Since we are dealing with a lot of components and JSX over here, so earlier we created a file with nav.stories.ts. Just head over and change this extension to tsx, just that to know that the storybook is using JSX components. The moment I change this, hit save, and you restart the server with yarn storybook, you can see that all of the errors are gone and we could really see our component visible. Over here you can see that we are getting, but why are the styles not loading? To fix that styles, you can go to the preview.ts file under the same .storybook folder, and what you need to do is, you can see that these 3 lines would be missing in your application. So head over, add these 3 lines. Okay, so what we are doing is we are importing app slash global.css, then src styles theme.css, and we are importing the tailwind css classes. Hit save. This would, I think, re-render, or what's the problem? Why is it not taking it? So slash src slash app slash go globals, so it is s over here, globals.css. Yeah, I think that should be done. Let's restart, and yeah, boom, it is working now. Hopefully we can expect the styles to be present, and you can see that we have the styles pretty much over here. And why exactly is it out of bounds? Okay, why it is behaving so weird? We can check it. This is happening because we have a root, it has a margin auto, and there are a bunch of classes being applied. So if I just remove this, you can see that it is looking just fine. So I think we need to see why this class is being applied. Okay, so we have a storybook layout. Okay, we have various types of layouts. We can check the layouts. I think it was happening due to layout only. But what are the various properties? Centered, full screen, and padded. So let us check full screen. It is refreshing. It should not take this much time. And yeah, now we can see that our navigation component is pretty much present on the navigation menu. Okay, so we have created a component. Do we have any errors? Yeah, we have one error. Okay, we have to deal with this. So where are the interface? We just have the interface over here, or maybe you can create interface here also. It will not hamper. Interface nav bar interface. It gets nav data. It can be null, or it could be nav data type, and this prop would be something like this. Okay, and obviously it is a optional prop, so we have to add a question mark. And what it is complaining that in nav.stories, this is not compatible. This can be compatible if I say navbar what was the type again? Okay, nav data type. Okay, we just have to typecast stuffs, and all the errors are sorted. So we have created our version. Now moving forward, my friends, creating like library for each of the component would really not be possible. Otherwise the course would be stretched indefinitely. I'll give you homework that whenever you create any component, try to create a storybook component for it and try to render stuffs take this as a homework, and if you are stuck anywhere or if you see any doubts, then feel free to reach me out. But I think this example would suffice. Okay, it was fairly complex example, and we have done all the initial setups. We have passed all the initial hurdles to set up the Tailwind, and moving forward, I really don't think you would face any issue. If you face any issue, definitely you can reach me out over the email jscafe.business@gmail.com. I'll be happy to answer. So we have created this component. Now is the time to create a pull request. So I'll create a branch, new branch, Navbar _ storybook, we have created this thing. I'll say create storybook for Navbar, and this also contains the initial setup. So please make sure you check this pull request. We have to add the changes, commit it, push them, head over to the GitHub. Did we lost the GitHub? Create pull request, create storybook for Navbar, create pull request, and let's just wait for all the checks to pass. Let's see if there was any error. I really hope there was no error. And once this is done, we'll merge this, and in the next video we'll check on the test cases. Alright, we are all green. Let's squash and merge, and boom, we have successfully created another feature. And if you check the pull request, so far we have closed 12 pull requests, which is great. Okay, now in the next video I'll see you guys with the unit test. See you guys in the next video.